Hey everybody, we've got another show for you today on the Horror Appraisal. I'm Sam.
And I'm Evan.
We got a really good one for you today. What
Absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Sam. As you guys know, we've been going through the 80s year by year, giving you the top 5 films of each year, personal favorites. Also, doing a little bit of, it's not just strictly opinion, but doing a little bit of research as well. But guys, we are ready for 1986. That's right. We have crossed the halfway point. We're ready to start on the down slope.
We're on the
downhill,
80s. Yeah.
We're on the downhill slope, man.
Skiing, bobsled team.
And we just finished 85. Holy crap, was 85 a good year for horror?
This year was hard too. We did this year and the next year in advance because
we actually sat down and made a few lists, so we are ready tonight for 1986.
86.
Woo!
All right, what do we got first? An honorable mention.
First of all, as an honorable mention, we want to talk about a slasher film called Slaughter High.
This film has a lot of great kills, reminiscent.
Absolutely.
This film exemplifies the 80s.
It does, because it's kind of like Revenge of the Nerds meets a
Death.
revenge slasher. Yeah, it meets a revenge slasher. It's about this kid who's picked on in high school.
He gets melted with acid.
Due to classmates kind of teasing him and playing pranks on him, a high school lab experiment goes awry.
Yeah.
He's horribly scarred in this accident.
The music is very Friday the 13th, and you'll see why.
I'm not quite sure. I can't remember if the music is by Harry Manfredini, but it absolutely sounds like a Harry Manfredini score from one of the Friday the 13th films. I mean, it's exactly like it.
Well, the deaths are great. I mean, it's just
the deaths are great.
That's all we have to really say about that.
That's why I wanted to give an honorable mention. Slaughter High. Check out Slaughter High. It's available on DVD.
Super recommended,
and I'm sure you can download it if you really want to illegally.
Oh God!
But
don't be illegal.
Yeah, but don't do that.
Number 5. Kicking
it off with 2 feet on the ground here
with a real slasher.
With absolutely a real slasher. It's we're in a franchise here, and we're in the 6th installment of the franchise. We are talking about Friday the 13th, Part 6. Jason lives.
Yeah, he does. He was actually really killed, and we were talking about this earlier. Was he really killed? And it's he was actually really killed.
Yeah, absolutely. In Part 4, he dies. As we know, Part 5, it was actually not really Jason. It was a
spoiler.
Yeah, sorry, spoiler.
It's about 20 years later.
Yeah, sorry. I think everyone's cool with it. 30 years. But we're old.
Shit.
But as we know, in Friday 5, of course, there was a copycat killer who was not really Jason Voorhees. So we haven't seen Jason Voorhees since Friday the 14th, Part 4, the final chapter.
Friday the 14th.
Did I say that?
Yeah, you did.
Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter.
Woo!
When Corey Feldman, of course,
Jason
cracks his noggin with a freaking
he chops the hell out of
machete.
Anyway, Part 6. He's resurrected with lightning.
He is. It's of course.
It makes him a classic.
It's of course very reminiscent of Prometheus Unbound. Of course, Mary Shelley's
monster.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
Prometheus Unbound.
Well, that was actually what the original Frankenstein. That was the working title of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It was called Prometheus Unbound, of course, because he stole fire from the gods.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Zeus.
Yep. But here we have Jason 6, and it's kind of, if you can argue, it's the first time we see Jason as a undead stalker of the night, killer,
as a beyond natural.
Yeah,
killer.
beyond. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. This is really a favorite of the series.
Well, this is where he gets the black head, and he gets this really monstrous.
This is when he's
look.
This is when he's very. I mean, he always looked kind of messed up, but he wasn't dead before, kind of rotting.
He's dead now.
Yeah, he's rotten now,
and you can't kill him.
No,
but I will argue that this movie adds a lot of goofball shit to it.
It does.
He smashes like the paintball scene. He smashes a guy's face into a tree, and it's a smiley face when he's done.
It's not. Isn't that in the? Is that the tree? Doesn't he also smash a chick's face into a trailer, or something chrome?
No, that's Part 5, I think.
Oops, that's not Part 5.
They all blur together.
Yeah, whatever. But anyway, Part 6.
Part 6 is a great Jason film, and
it is. But I love the beginning of Part 6. Part 6 gives you, it does very well for the ambience of the film, making it a dark and stormy night at a cemetery. It's almost like an old Hammer film.
Who's in this movie that's awesome? As Corey Feldman's character.
Well, I can't remember his name.
Tom Matthews.
Oh, he's the guy from Return of the Living Dead. Yeah, absolutely.
Who's
the guy that's with him? Who's the guy that's with him at the beginning? Do you remember? It's okay. I watched a lot of Nick at Night as a kid. The guy who's with him at the beginning, who like goes to the cemetery with the character Tommy. Is he Tommy?
Yeah, Tommy.
He goes with him. It's Rorschach from Welcome Back, or Horseshack from Welcome Back, Kotter. Mr. Kotter. It's him. He boxed Screech once in celebrity boxing. Screech beat the crap out of him.
Hopefully not in Screech's porn.
No, not in Screech's part.
So, anyway, on to number 4. We got a great one here.
We do. We have a very classic film that's, another high energy film, great to watch. We
discovered it late.
We did discover this late. I saw this film when I was younger because I remember the bathroom scene in it, and that was about it. But you and I didn't really see it until we were in our 20s. We
did fortunately see this before we met Tom Adkins.
Absolutely. It's a great film. It really comprises a lot of different elements of different types of genres of horror movies. For example, there's sci-fi elements to it, there's zombie element to it, there's slasher element to it. But really, after you cut all that out, it's really a creature kind of type zombie film. I love that about it. I love movies that can like really marriage together all these different subgenres of horror and just
there's
make
also
it
slasher. There's slasher almost too.
I said that. I said that.
There's axe hacking.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's why I put slasher.
Night of the Creeps.
Night of the Creeps.
we finally spit it out.
Yeah.
Tom Atkins stars in this film, and he's a whole washed up cop.
Tom Atkins is so great in this movie.
He's kind of a washed up cop, but the other cops are still kind of afraid of him because they know he's a badass.
He's a really sad case too.
He's
because
damaged.
He's suicidal. I mean, there's that scene where like he's got the oven on, like he's gonna kill himself like by carbon monoxide.
Yeah, and the kid knocks on the door and he turns off the oven. He's like, "What do you want, Sparky?"
Yeah, I mean, he's just like so like, like he looks for a reason to keep
We
going.
get so many great horror one-liners from this film.
Absolutely.
Thrill Me. He answers the phone as Thrill Me. And Tom Atkins is one of these guys that I get the impression he always wanted to be a film noir type cop.
Absolutely. Tom Atkins definitely gives you that chiseled, like Mike Hammer detective kind of vibe.
Damaged, drunk.
A guy who eats corned beef hash every morning, has a Coors Light with it.
He's Bruce Willis.
There you go. Right there.
I need an aspirin. Oh, God. I'm going to get some explosions today.
And no one does that better than Tom Atkins. Yeah. Look at Tom Atkins in the roles he's been in. I mean, but Night of the Creeps, like you said, Sam, you hit it right on the head. Night of the Creeps gives us one of the finest performances from this actor, who's, of course, actually trained as a stage actor.
After meeting him, the way that he projects himself.
When did we meet him in 2009, 2010?
2010, Scarefest 3.
Yeah.
With John Amplas, actually.
Yeah, actually. But
this film
is great because
it's so fun.
It's a fun movie. It's about alien slugs that reanimate the flesh of the dead.
They go in your brain, and they take over your body, kind of like an invasion of the bystanders. And when you first see this film in the very beginning, you're like, oh, it's kind of like we're in space. We got aliens in there.
Yeah, you kind of don't really know what the direction it's
taking. But then you're on Earth, and you've got like a slasher thing going on because you go in the past, and and then you're in the present, and these things take over people, and they're zombies.
Exactly.
You've got about everything.
Night of the Creeps, there's not much to say about it.
Watch it.
Please watch it.
If you haven't seen it.
And just remember, it's Miller time.
And it's Miller time.
You know what? What is actually your favorite line from Night of the Creeps?
Yeah, you tell us in the responses.
Good news, girls.
I know what mine is.
Good news
Me
is
too.
your dates are here.
What's the bad
Anyway,
news?
sorry. Let's go ahead and move on to number 3.
You tell us what... Number 3 is a very influential sci-fi horror film.
Absolutely. When I was a little kid, I actually didn't realize that this movie was a horror remake. I thought this was an original film.
And we are thinking about doing a video on the top horror remakes of all time.
Yeah.
We did a worst horror remake.
We did worst 5 horror remakes.
What do you think?
We're thinking of doing best 5 horror remakes. This one would definitely make it.
This one would make it. What is it?
We are talking about David Cronenberg's legendary film from 1986, The Fly, starring Jeff Goldblum
and Gina Davis. Jeff Goldblum is a little annoying in this to me, but I think that's part of the appeal.
He's Jeff Goldblum, so.
Well, yeah.
I mean, have you ever seen a movie with Jeff Goldblum where Jeff Goldblum wasn't Jeff Goldblum? No, you haven't.
He doesn't act. He's just Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
And he happens to be what people wanted in that film.
Yeah.
But he gets so nasty in this film. He gets all zitty teenager kind of like he eats Snickers and sweets.
Yeah, of course it's the classic tale of a scientist who's trying to perfect the method of transportation, transporting matter from one place to another.
And it works.
And it does. And to him, imagine how this would change the world. food. You know, imagine the United
Resources
Nations
from other planets.
Imagine the United Nations directly being able to transport food from one place to another without anyone being able to intercept it.
Didn't he mention putting one of these on another planet and
imagine transporting
resources?
Transporting resources, transporting people. You know, of course, it's got a very Star Trek element to it that I appreciate and enjoy.
This would be very valuable.
Absolutely.
Think about the money that he had in mind. He was like, "Oh, I'm going to be rich and set for life. I don't have to invent anything else. I don't have to tire away or anything like that."
So, of course, you know, classic story. When he's doing an experiment on himself, he decides to he's perfected, he thinks, the way to transport living matter. So he decides to do it on himself, and of course, an errant fly becomes trapped in the chamber with him. It transports Seth Brundle to the other chamber. However, he and the fly, their DNA is now one.
They become Brundlefly.
And of course, he experiences. You know, he's really a pitiable character. He's a victim in this film. You can argue that he does all these things. He is a genius, and he does all these things, of course, that are horrible towards the end of the film. But you know, dude, what's his motivation here? It's
to better the human race.
To better the human race.
Or condition.
That's the purpose of science. You know, and you know, I love the original film with Vincent Price. I'm a huge Vincent Price fan. He's actually my favorite actor of all time.
But this one blows it out of the water.
It's just it's a different kind of film. I still love the original The Fly, but this is a different kind of film. David Cronenberg, man, takes biological horror. He's David Cronenberg is the master of biological horror. Body transformations, the transformation where Seth Brundle actually becomes the living fly.
His body breaks apart.
I watched this film.
His fingernails are coming off.
This film when I was a little boy. I was probably 10 years old. I think it was around like 1991, 92. And we watched this movie, and I was scared to death of this film because
the preview scared me.
It was the concept. It was the concept of this person changing so much physically and becoming a different entity.
It just killed. It kind of. One thing about this film that confuses me just a little bit is how he lost all of his personality when he becomes more fly than human. His mind would still be there. A fly obviously doesn't have any mind off.
Well, you know, this is true, but because a fly is a creature of instinct and immediate response, you know, it stands to reason that could take over that instinctual thing of kicking in to like make him survive. That could take over his human brain. The instinct to survive, of course, is obviously one of the most strong things there can be in existence.
It's true. However, a fly's brain is like...
Does a fly have a brain? I don't even know.
So small.
Does it even have a brain? It's just a circulatory system, I thought.
Maybe it really begs the question, is there enough... I understand that's all that exists in a fly is instinct.
Right.
But you have this
like
enormous amount of other instincts and emotion and stuff in a human brain. Would it really overpower?
But does the primal instinct of the beast overtake that of man? It's an age-old question.
It's in there.
Now,
anyway.
Of course, the beast we're talking about in this.
That's the thing about a human brain. It's got the primal instinct in there. I mean, it's already in.
It's
already in us. We overcome
it
every day with our id and our superego. I mean, it's there.
This is getting deep in here.
Oh, it's deep. And penetration into the mind.
Wow.
Okay, number two.
But I just want to say, the Fly is absolutely one of the best horror movies.
Great effects. I mean, he vomits out this acid
makeup.
shit.
You know what?
He melts people.
You know how absolutely gaga we are for makeup and effects, man. We're old school horror movie fans.
Kill people.
So absolutely, we're gonna take that over. And if they ever remake The Fly, that's another one of those films that I won't be in line to see ever.
Yeah.
So let's move on to number two.
Number two is one of our favorite slashers, and I'll go ahead and say it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, starring the late, great Dennis Hopper.
Bill Moseley, Carolyn Williams, Bob Elmore. Bob Elmore was Leatherface for the majority of this film.
You know, we did a
40-minute review.
We did like a 40-minute review of this. And there's not a whole lot left in the...
It's insane.
There's not a whole lot left in the 6-shooter to talk about this film. I mean, it was... we said so much about it then. It's such a high-octane schlock scare fest with fascinating characters.
Gore
galore.
One-liners.
This is one of the ultimate 80s movies, man.
Chop Top is one of the most commanding characters I've ever seen in a film.
Yes, very.
Like, when Bill Moseley steps on stage, he just takes over, and it's like his show. I mean, and he doesn't really. It's not that he's being a dick about it. It's just
No, it's just the fact that
he
character,
appeals to horror fans.
Exactly. That character is just so larger than life that it
And we got to
takes
meet them.
over.
We got to meet that trio recently. Bob Elmore, Carolyn Williams, and Bill Moseley. We had met Bill Moseley previously, but we met the three of them together, and the three of them spent a lot of time on the film or on camera together.
They actually did a really cool. Sam and I got to take part in a really cool panel for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 with Bob Elmore, Carolyn Williams, and Bill Moseley.
Yeah, they were awesome. They were super
Very
friendly.
personal.
All three of those people were super friendly. Carolyn Williams, she takes over kind of wherever she's at.
Carolyn,
Yeah.
if you were approached today about a role that involved putting a chainsaw in your hoo-ha, how would you feel about that, and would you do it?
It would depend on so many things, but I wouldn't necessarily say no. Because number one, it's what I'm known for. Why am I going to be shy about it now? I've been keeping myself in this shape all this time.
She does. She definitely, wherever she's at in a building, she's kind of like, I have a personality and I am larger than life.
She's got great boobs too.
Oh.
But Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. We had a great classic film in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 really kind of changes it up a little bit. We see the Sawyers on the lam, as it were. We have a legitimate face to the business. We have Drayden Sawyer doing his meat catering business. And, of course,
I tell you what, if you guys want to really hear about this film, check out our review of Texas Chainsaw 2. You got to go back a ways.
Was that a year ago? Did we do that a year ago?
Probably almost a year ago.
Wow.
But you need to go back. Obviously, things have changed. The visual quality is different now from what it was then.
Yeah.
But what we say then is
we're very passionate about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, kind of like the way we're passionate about Nightmare on Elm Street 2. To be honest,
it's up there.
It's up there.
That's why it's number 2 for 1986.
Yeah, absolutely.
Evan, you tell us what number 1 is.
Guys, number 1, and Sam and I kind of made our own top 5 list. Then we took that and we kind of combined it, and really what we came with, and we both kind of agreed with it. It's a movie embedded in great special effects, really good character acting.
Sci-fi horror again.
Sci-fi horror, absolutely. It's based on a short story by H.P. Lovecraft, who has complimented himself so well to cinema over the years, especially by a certain group of people.
Kind of like, it'll come to me later. He did The Shining. He wrote The Shining.
Stanley Kubrick?
No.
Stephen King?
Stephen King. He's kind of like Stephen King in that respect. His books lend themselves well to...
Well, absolutely. I mean, so we're talking about the film From Beyond.
From Beyond.
Starring Stephen Jeffries.
No, not Stephen Jeffries.
I said Stephen Jeffries. I'm sorry. I don't know why I was thinking front end. Starring Jeffrey Combs, of course, who I love.
Jeffrey Combs.
Barbara Crampton.
Ken Fourier.
Ken Fourier.
The effects in this film, my God,
they're great. Of course, this movie is kind of a sci-fi horror movie. It's movies. There's so many films, so many filmmakers or writers or whatnot and what have you decide to make stories about people who are trying to experience anything beyond the realm of human capacity, the realm of human experience. Just like Hellraiser.
Well, also in this film,
this film is a great example of that.
You've got Jeffrey Combs in this, and he's working for a doctor. Is his name Dr. Pretorius? Is that his name?
Dr. Pretorius or Pretorius, something like that, yes.
He's working for him, and he kind of thinks that he's building a doorway into another dimension. But
yeah.
He doesn't have the motivation that his commanding scientist has. Mm-hmm. Dr. Pretorius is wanting to experience the things that you say. He's into bondage and dark shit.
Yeah, we're trying to experience something that is just right beyond the capacity of the human brain to experience.
Important question just came to me.
What's that?
Do you think Clive Barker's Hellraiser came from this?
Well, that's actually, it's funny you say that, Sam. You and I are of one mind right now. I was actually thinking, I wonder if Clive Barker, when he wrote the short story The Hellbound Heart, perhaps took inspiration from this story.
Experiencing that next level of bondage and pain and
it's
suffering.
Just that you can put that fine point on it, bondage, suffering, whatever. But it's the next step of human experience.
Evolution, if you were.
Well, the way I think is just the things that we intake. For example, other films have done that for me too, such as Beyond the Black Rainbow, that we watched recently.
Yeah.
But you should check that out, by the way. But it's trying to fathom something that is just right beyond our understanding, something that can give us an experience that we have not had the capacity to understand before. And that is really kind of the core of these stories, like From Beyond. Someone trying to experience something that is beyond human experience. Altered States, for example.
On the fun side of this film,
Yeah.
Ken Fourier's performance, he kind of
fun.
He plays like a performance where he's a football player that's become a cop. And doesn't he wear a jersey at one point?
Yes.
He makes
Yes.
he makes like steamed cauliflower in this to eat, and we asked him about that in person because we met Ken Fourier, right?
We did.
And he said that was like a clay substance. It was like just nasty to eat. And he was like, wow.
Yeah.
But there's a scene in this where he gets eaten by these piranha that come out of like
from this other dimension. Yes,
and they eat his legs.
This machine makes.
It's awesome.
This machine, like, it basically it stimulates the pineal gland of the brain
so that you can become aware of the next
so that
dimension.
you can become more in tune to this dimension of further experience. And that's really kind of
The beyond.
part of it. The beyond.
It's
beyond.
From beyond.
But you hit the nail on the head, Sam. This is a great film with great special effects, great caliber character acting from veterans of horror films.
Wow, man! You look at our top 5 for this year, or our top 6, as it were, even including the honorable mention. 3 of them are slashers. 3 of them are sci-fi horror.
Yeah,
that's weird.
It is a little bit, isn't it?
There's no paranormal. There's no straight up zombie.
No ghost stories.
No ghosts. That's why we value The Fog so much, because it's so rare to have those.
Me a good ghost story.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to recap. What the honorable mention was Slaughter High.
Number 5 was Friday the 13th, Part 6.
Number 4, Night of the Creeps. Such a great movie.
Number 3, David Cronenberg's remake of the classic The Fly.
Number 2 was Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2.
And number 1 was
From Beyond. Go check them out. I'm Sam.
I'm Evan. Thanks, you guys, for everything. We always enjoy making these videos for you.
Be sure to subscribe to the Horror Appraisal.
Absolutely. We're going to have 1987 coming up soon. We really want you guys to check that out. I think it's going to be an interesting list. We're also working on a couple of other little projects for you as well. So
some interviews.
So listen, guys, as always, we encourage you, please give us any kind of
feedback, criticism, love, hate, anything.
Hey, or if there's a movie you want to throw our way, we'll take it.
All it takes is one suggestion to get that seed planted to build a tree.
Mm-hmm. The acorn that will grow a mighty oak.
Review. See you guys later.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good day. Go
do Sudoku.
Do good work. And God bless.
See ya.